If you are a green card holder who travels internationally, or if you are planning to travel soon, you may have heard rumors or seen reports that Customs and Border Protection officers are checking green cards more carefully at airports. Maybe you saw a social media post about someone being questioned for hours. Maybe you heard that people are being denied entry even though they have valid green cards. Maybe you are now wondering if it is safe for you to travel, or if you will face problems when you return to the United States. I want you to take a deep breath right now, because my goal in this video is not to scare you. My goal is to explain calmly and clearly what is actually happening at airports, what officers are looking for, and most importantly, what you need to know to travel confidently and safely. My name is Alex, and I make these videos to help people like you understand immigration news, without the panic, without the rumors, and without the confusion. So let's take our time, go through this step by step, and by the end of this video, you will know exactly what to expect when you travel as a green card holder. Before we begin, I want to make something very clear. I am not an immigration attorney. I am not a government official. I am not affiliated with Customs and Border Protection, uscis, or any federal agency. What I share in this video is information only, explained in simple terms for educational purposes. This is not legal advice. If you have a specific situation or concern about your immigration status or your ability to travel, I always encourage you to speak with a qualified immigration lawyer who can review your personal case. My job here is simply to help you understand what is happening at airports right now, so you can make informed decisions without fear or confusion. So let's talk about what is actually happening when green card holders return to the United States through airports. Customs and Border Protection, known as CBP, is the agency responsible for inspecting everyone who enters the country, whether you are a United States citizen, a green card holder, or a visitor on a visa. CBP officers have always had the authority to ask questions, review documents, and make decisions about who can enter. This is not new. What has changed recently is the level of scrutiny and the types of questions that some green card holders are experiencing. Some travelers are reporting longer wait times, more detailed questioning, and in some cases, being sent to secondary inspection for further review. This does not mean that all green card holders are being targeted. It does not mean that traveling is unsafe. It means that enforcement priorities have shifted, and officers are paying closer attention to certain factors that have always been part of immigration law. Let me explain what CBP officers are actually checking for when a green card holder returns to the United States. The first thing they are looking at is whether you have abandoned your permanent residency. Remember, a green card is for permanent residents, which means the United States is supposed to be your primary home. If you have been outside the country for a long time, officers may question whether you still intend to live here. The general guideline is that if you are outside the United States for more than 6 months, you may face questions. If you are outside for more than 1 year without a re-entry permit, you are presumed to have abandoned your residency, and you may be denied entry. This rule has always existed. It is not new. What is new is that officers are enforcing it more consistently. The second thing officers are checking is the validity of your green card itself. They want to make sure it has not expired, that it has not been reported lost or stolen, and that it matches your identity. If your green card is expired, you may face delays or be denied boarding by the airline before you even reach the United States. If your green card is damaged or hard to read, officers may need to verify your status in their system, which can take extra time. The third thing officers are looking at is your travel pattern. If you travel frequently and spend very little time in the United States between trips, this may raise questions about whether you are truly residing here. Officers may ask where you work, where you live, whether you pay taxes, and what ties you have to the United States. They are trying to determine if you are using your green card appropriately or if you are living abroad and just visiting the United States occasionally. The fourth thing, and this is important, is whether there are any flags or concerns in your immigration history. This could include criminal convictions, previous immigration violations, or issues with your original green card application. If any of these exist, officers may pull you aside for additional questioning or review. This does not mean you will automatically be denied entry, but it does mean your case will be looked at more carefully. Now let me be very clear about who is most likely to experience extra questioning or delays. If you are a green card holder who has been outside the United States for several months, especially if this is a pattern, you are more likely to be asked questions. If you have been living abroad and only visiting the United States occasionally, you are at higher risk of being found to have abandoned your residency. If your green card is expired or about to expire, you will face issues. If you have a criminal record, even for offenses that happened years ago, this may come up during your inspection. On the other hand, if you are a green card holder who lives in the United States, who travels occasionally for vacation or to visit family, and who returns within a few weeks or months, you are much less likely to face any problems. The vast majority of green card holders who travel internationally go through the airport without any issues at all. They present their green card, answer a few basic questions, and are admitted within minutes. The stories you hear about people being detained or denied entry are real, but they represent a small fraction of travelers, and they usually involve circumstances that raise legitimate concerns about residency or admissibility. Now let me address some of the most common myths and fears I have seen online, because misinformation spreads quickly, and I know many of you are worried. Myth number 1. All green card holders are being stopped and questioned for hours at airports. This is false. Most green card holders pass through customs quickly and without incident. Yes, some people are being pulled aside for secondary inspection, but this is not happening to everyone. Myth number 2. If you leave the United States for any reason, you will lose your green card. This is also false. Green card holders are allowed to travel. Short trips, vacations, family visits, and even some longer trips with proper documentation are all permitted. The issue arises when you spend so much time outside the country that it appears you are no longer living here. Myth number 3. CBP officers can take your green card away at the airport without any process. This is not accurate. If an officer believes you have abandoned your residency or are otherwise inadmissible, they will usually give you the option to withdraw your application for admission, which means you voluntarily agree not to enter and you leave the country. If you refuse to withdraw, your case will be referred to an immigration judge, and you will have the opportunity to argue your case. Officers cannot simply confiscate your green card and deport you on the spot without due process. Myth number 4. Carrying extra documents will guarantee you will not be questioned. While it is always a good idea to carry supporting documents, there is no guarantee that you will not be pulled aside for secondary inspection. Officers have discretion, and sometimes people are selected randomly or based on factors you cannot control. Let me now talk about the difference between primary inspection and secondary inspection, because I know some of you may not be familiar with these terms. Primary inspection is the first checkpoint you go through when you arrive at a United States airport. This is where you present your green card or passport, answer a few basic questions, and in most cases, you are admitted and sent on your way. This process usually takes just a few minutes. Secondary inspection is a more detailed review that happens if the officer at primary inspection has questions or concerns. You will be asked to step aside and wait in a separate area. This does not mean you are in trouble. It means the officer needs more time or information to make a decision. Secondary inspection can take anywhere from a few minutes to several hours, depending on how busy the airport is and what issues need to be resolved. If you are sent to secondary inspection, stay calm, be polite and respectful. Answer questions honestly. Do not argue with the officers or become defensive, even if you feel the questions are unfair. Provide any documents they ask for, such as proof of your residence in the United States, employment records, tax returns, or other evidence that shows you live here. If you do not have documents with you, explain your situation clearly and truthfully. Most people who go through secondary inspection are eventually admitted. It is inconvenient and stressful, but it is not the end of the world. If you are denied entry, or if you are asked to withdraw your application for admission, do not sign anything or make any statements without understanding what you are agreeing to. If possible, ask to speak with an immigration attorney before making any decisions. Now let's talk about what you should actually do to prepare for travel as a green card holder. First, make sure your green card is valid and will not expire while you are abroad. If your green card is set to expire soon, consider renewing it before you travel. Second, if you know you will be outside the United States for more than 6 months, apply for a re-entry permit before you leave. A re-entry permit allows you to stay abroad for up to 2 years without being presumed to have abandoned your residency. It is a simple application, and it provides important protection. Third, maintain strong ties to the United States. This means keeping a home here, whether you own or rent. Keep your job or business here if possible. File your taxes as a resident. Keep utility bills, bank statements, and other records that show you live here. These documents can be very helpful if you are ever questioned about your residency. Fourth, be mindful of how much time you spend outside the United States. If you travel frequently, keep track of your trips and make sure you are spending more time in the United States than abroad. Fifth, if you have any criminal issues in your past, even minor ones, talk to an immigration attorney before you travel. Some criminal convictions can make you inadmissible, and you may not find out until you try to return to the United States. It is better to know in advance and address any issues before you leave. Sixth, carry supporting documents when you travel. This might include a letter from your employer, lease or mortgage documents, recent tax returns, or other proof of your ties to the United States. You may not need these documents, but if you are questioned, having them can make the process much smoother. Seventh, be prepared to answer questions about your trip. Officers may ask where you went, why you went, how long you were gone, where you stayed, and when you plan to return to your home in the United States. Answer honestly and confidently. Do not volunteer information that is not asked, but do not lie or hide anything either. Eighth, if you are traveling with family members who have different immigration statuses, be prepared for the possibility that you may be processed separately. For example, if you are a green card holder traveling with a United States citizen spouse, you may go through different lines and may not be questioned in the same way. This is normal. Now let me talk about some specific situations that might cause extra scrutiny at the airport. If you obtained your green card through marriage, and you are traveling without your spouse, especially if you have been married for a short time, officers may ask questions to verify that your marriage is genuine. This is because marriage fraud is a concern for immigration authorities. If you can show that you and your spouse live together, that you have joint finances, or that you have children together, this can help. If you obtained your green card through employment and you are no longer working for that employer, officers may ask about your current employment. This is especially true if you received your green card recently. You are allowed to change jobs after you get your green card, but officers may want to verify that you are still living and working in the United States. If you are traveling to or from a country that has political instability, conflict, or is considered high risk for security reasons, you may face additional questions. This is not specific to green card holders. Anyone traveling to or from certain countries may be subject to extra screening. If you have traveled to the same country multiple times in a short period, officers may ask why. They are trying to determine if you are actually living in that country rather than in the United States. Be honest about your reasons for travel, whether it is to care for a sick family member, to handle business, or for any other legitimate reason. Let me also address the concern that some green card holders have about being targeted based on their nationality or country of origin. Immigration officers are supposed to conduct inspections based on objective factors, not on discrimination. However, the reality is that people from certain countries may face more scrutiny, especially if there are security concerns or high rates of immigration violations from those countries. This is not fair, and it is not right, but it is a reality that some travelers experience. If you feel you have been treated unfairly or discriminated against, you have the right to file a complaint with CBP. You can do this through their website or by requesting a supervisor at the airport. Keep notes about what happened, including the date, time, location, and names of any officers involved if possible. Now let's talk about what happens if you are denied entry to the United States. If a CBP officer determines that you have abandoned your residency or that you are inadmissible for some other reason, they will usually give you two options. The first option is to withdraw your application for admission. This means you agree not to enter the United States and you will be sent back to where you came from. If you withdraw, there is no formal record of a denial, and you may be able to apply for a visa or other status in the future. The second option is to refuse to withdraw and request a hearing before an immigration judge. If you choose this option, you will be detained until your hearing, which could take days or even weeks. This is a serious decision, and you should not make it lightly. If you believe you have a strong case and you have not actually abandoned your residency, it may be worth requesting a hearing. But if the facts clearly show that you have been living abroad and not maintaining your residency, withdrawing may be the better choice. This is why it is so important to speak with an immigration attorney if you find yourself in this situation. Do not make major decisions without legal advice. If you do withdraw your application for admission and you want to return to the United States in the future, you will need to apply for a visa. Depending on your circumstances, this might be a tourist visa, an immigrant visa, or some other category. The process will start over, and there is no guarantee you will be approved. Let me now address those of you who are United States citizens, whether by birth or through naturalization, who may be watching this video because you are concerned about traveling or about how you will be treated at the airport. As a United States citizen, you have an absolute right to enter the United States. CBP officers cannot deny you entry. They may ask you questions, they may search your belongings, and they may detain you for a period of time if there are concerns, but they cannot refuse to let you into your own country. If you are a naturalized citizen and you are worried that your citizenship could be questioned at the airport, this is extremely unlikely. Officers may verify your identity and your citizenship status, but they do not have the authority to revoke your citizenship. Only a federal court can do that, and only in very rare cases involving fraud during the naturalization process. If you are a dual citizen, meaning you hold citizenship in the United States and another country, you should always use your United States passport when entering the United States. Using a foreign passport can create confusion and delays. If you have a United States passport, use it. If your passport is expired, renew it before you travel. Do not try to enter on a green card if you are a citizen. It will only cause problems. Now let me talk about the broader context of immigration enforcement and travel, because I know many of you are also dealing with pending applications, waiting for interviews, or supporting family members who are going through the immigration process. The current environment is one of increased enforcement and scrutiny. This does not mean the system is broken or that travel is impossible. It means that rules that have always existed are being applied more strictly. For green card holders, this means being more careful about how long you stay outside the United States, maintaining clear evidence of your residency, and being prepared to answer questions when you travel. For people waiting for green cards or visas, this means continuing to be patient with processing times, which remain long. It means keeping your documents up to date and responding quickly to any requests from uscis. It means staying informed about policy changes, but not panicking every time you see a headline. The immigration system is slow, but it is also structured. Decisions are not made randomly. If you follow the rules, if you are honest, and if you maintain your status properly, you are much more likely to have a positive outcome. I want to take a moment to speak to the emotional side of all of this, because I know that traveling as a green card holder can be stressful, especially when you hear stories about people being questioned or denied entry. It is natural to feel anxious. It is natural to worry about whether you will be allowed back into the country where you have built your life. But I want you to know that millions of green card holders travel every year without any problems. They visit family, they take vacations, they travel for work, and they return home without incident. The stories you hear about problems at the airport are the exceptions, not the rule. That does not mean you should ignore the rules or be careless, but it does mean you should not let fear stop you from living your life. If you need to travel, if you have family abroad, if you have business or personal reasons to leave the United States, you can do so. Just be smart about it. Plan ahead. Keep your green card valid. Do not stay abroad longer than necessary. Maintain your ties to the United States. Carry supporting documents. Be prepared to answer questions. And if you do face any issues, stay calm, be respectful, and seek legal help if needed. You deserve to travel with confidence, and you deserve to know your rights. Let me bring all of this together and summarize what you really need to know. CBP officers at airports have the authority to question green card holders and verify that they have not abandoned their residency. This is not new, but enforcement has become more visible and more consistent. If you are a green card holder who lives in the United States and travels occasionally, you are very unlikely to face any problems. If you have been outside the country for a long time, or if you travel frequently and spend little time here, you may face additional questions. The best way to protect yourself is to maintain your residency, keep your documents current, and be prepared to show evidence of your ties to the United States. Carry your valid green card, and if possible, carry supporting documents like proof of residence and employment. Answer questions honestly and respectfully. If you are sent to secondary inspection, do not panic. Most people are admitted after the review is complete. If you are denied entry or asked to withdraw, do not make decisions without legal advice. And remember, as long as you are maintaining your permanent residence and following the rules, you have every right to travel and return to the United States. Do not let fear control your life or your decisions. If this video helped you understand what to expect when traveling as a green card holder, I would be grateful if you would let me know in the comments. Share your own experiences, your questions, or your concerns. This channel exists to help people like you, and your feedback helps me know what topics to cover next. If you found this information useful, consider staying connected so you can stay informed about immigration news and travel updates without the panic and without the confusion. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for trusting me with your time and your concerns. Please take care of yourself, take care of your family, and remember that being informed is the best way to travel confidently. You are going to be okay. Stay calm, stay prepared, and I will see you in the next video.